Hi, I'm Batty, farm vet and calf enthusiast, and I'm really excited to welcome you to the next video in our calf health series. So today we're going to be talking about calf milk replacers and actually how can we make sure we're getting as much bang for our buck on something that can be a relatively expensive cost. So what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to optimise the growth during this period of our dairy calf or potentially our beef cross calf. We want to make sure that they can put on good growth, skeletal muscle, and really increase their frame. It's the most feed efficient time of these baby calves. So how do we know what's actually going to be going into them? So first things first, whoever is supplying your calf replacer, make sure they can tell you what's on the ticket. And then let's have a little look as to what's going on and what things we need to consider. So sometimes you will find that there might be skim concentrate or there might be whey powder. If we're using a skim powder, we need to be looking at the inclusion rate. These kind of powders are going to form a clot within the abomasum, which means it's a slightly slower absorption time. This can sometimes give you a little bit more of kind of a window, a margin of error, if you like, if you are under significant challenges. When we look at our whey powder, again, we can achieve equally as good growth rates, but actually that's going to be more likely to be absorbed in the small intestine. If we're thinking about that whey powder, we need to think about the quality of it. These can change in terms of how good quality they are. So our whey protein concentrate or our whey protein is going to be some of the best quality stuff. Then we might have delactosed whey, and finally it's going to be whey powder. So making sure that we interrogate that again is key. The big thing that's important about both our skim and whey powders is that we're getting really good quality dairy proteins. If our calves are less than 3 weeks, they simply can't use any other protein source. So making sure that our dairy proteins are high up that ingredients list is key. Don't forget, the further up something is on the ingredients list, the higher inclusion rate it is, compared to everything else. Equally, if we're going to be looking at non-dairy proteins, so they're from things like vegetable proteins, ingredients such as hydrolyzed wheat will be that. So we've looked at where our proteins are coming from. How much protein do we need? Well, in my opinion, we probably want somewhere at least 23% protein. We want to make sure that we've got enough there. We also need to make sure, though, that we've got the fat available to utilize that. Therefore, for me, I want to see fat at a minimum of 20% fat. You will see some powders now that are even feeding up to 25, 27% fat. Any less than 20% and they can't actually have enough energy to utilise that available protein. So I've talked about the ingredients packet. What else is going to be key? Well, actually, we want to make sure that we're feeding it at an appropriate concentration. Why is that so important? Well, actually, if we go whacking in way too many grams of powder, it can be a little bit unsettling for that calf gut. And as we all know, consistency is key. So for me, making sure I've got a set of weigh scales, making sure that we're feeding a minimum of 135 grams of milk powder mixed up to a litre. So don't forget, that's not added, that is mixed up to a litre to give us 13.5%. Weighing it out regularly. Don't forget, we might get a bit of variation between batches, making sure we're mixing it at a consistent temperature, consistent concentration, and feeding it at regular times of day means we're really going to get the most out of that powder and that cost that we're potentially putting in. Don't forget, alongside this, we want to get all the other basics right, like our forages, predominantly straw, like our concentrate to develop the rumen, and fresh, clean water. And making sure that whoever is doing that knows exactly what the key things are for your farm. Farms will have slightly different programs, but to me, making sure that we're doing the same thing every day for these babies is key. Any other questions? Give us a shout out on social media. And yeah, have fun interrogating your milk replacer.